should we go over that first? Like how to introduce you? Okay, so you didn't pay attention? Okay, so you're going to start by standing up behind your chair. So this is my chair right here. You're going to stand behind your chair. And then, you don't have to yet, but, you're going to, basically, I have to read this thing, and then you're going to stand up and do that, and you introduce yourself by what speaker role you are. Am I supposed to use this?
Hello?
Is it on? Oh, it is on.
Kisses.
That sounds weird.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. We're so excited to be here today. This debate isn't just about sharing our ideas. It's about learning together, having fun, and supporting one another. Whether we agree or disagree, we're all here to enjoy the challenge, laugh a little, and build friendships along the way. At the end of the day, we're all on the same team, students who love to think, speak, and grow together. So today's debate is going to be on raising the legal driving age, right? And then if the speakers want to get up and introduce themselves. Romeo.
Hello, my name is Gabriella Roberts, and I will be your first affirmative speaker. Thank you for judging.
Hello, my name is Rebecca Arias, and I will be the second affirmative speaker.
Hello, my name's Romeo Gautlet. I am doing the first negative constructive.
Hello, my name is Ezra Cross, and I will be doing the second negative constructive.
I'm short. Okay, negative team ready. Timer at 8 minutes. No? Oh, they're not ready. Okay. Are the judges ready? My timer's at 8 minutes. Starting. Imagine a 16-year-old behind the wheel, distracted by friends in the back seat, and in a second, a simple mistake can become a life-changing crash. Every day, nearly 8 teens in the United States die in motor vehicle crashes. These aren't just numbers. They're classmates, friends, and family members whose lives ended too soon. A major reason is that states allow teenagers to drive long before they're ready, creating dangers not only for themselves, but for everyone on the road. To protect families, prevent tragedies, and making the road safer for everyone, the United States federal government should establish a uniform legal driving age of 18 years old. Good morning, my partner Rebecca Arias and I, Gabriella Roberts, stand for the resolution that the United States federal government should establish a uniform legal driving age of 18 years old. Too often, young drivers are allowed on the road before they are truly ready, and their inexperience puts everyone at risk, a problem that is clearly seen in my first harm, which you can tag as lack of experience. From Connect GPS, published on October 24th, 2024, quote, at 16, many teens simply don't have the experience they need to drive safely. Essential motor skills and judgment are still developing, and driving is often the first activity that demands coordinated use of their hand, eyes, and feet at the same time. They have to process visual cues, quickly make split-second decisions, and react to physically, all of which take time and practice to master, end quote. 16-year-olds lack the full experience and the skills to drive safely on the road. Since driving requires quick decision and coordination, young drivers need lots of time before ever getting on the road, and guided practice before ever being allowed to drive. Not only do they lack this experience and the skills, but we can see another reason that they shouldn't be driving in my second harm, which you can tag as emotional maturity. From SafeWise by Kathy Habas. Quote, emotional maturity increases as we age, and it's thought that 18-year-olds are more likely to make smart decisions without giving into peer pressure than 16-year-olds. The ability to resist distractions, especially device-related ones, could be stronger in older teens, reducing behaviors like texting or scrolling while driving. End quote. Teen drivers are more likely to be involved in accidents because of the lack of maturity and their ability to be easily distracted while on the road. With more time and practice, older teens usually develop safer driving habits. It is for these reasons my partner and I present the following plan. Our mandate: the U.S. federal government will raise the driving age to 18 years old. The federal government shall continue to allow individuals to obtain a learner's permit at age 15, but must have a permit for at least 2 years before ever being able to receive a license. The government will add extra hours to the driving age, making it at least 60 to 70 hours of supervised driving, with at least 10 of those hours completed at night. They must also pass both a comprehension driving exam and a safety test before receiving a full license. Any permit holders found driving unsupervised, under the influence, or violating restrictions shall face immediate revocation of their license. Our agencies, the federal government, are funding, federal funding, enforcement, state-level agencies, and local law enforcement. Timeline: this will be passed immediately upon the affirmative ballot, and by passing our plan, we prove 2 key advantages. My first advantage you can tag as more experience. Allowing teens to get their permits at 15 and their license at 18 gives them 3 years of supervised practice. This extended learning period ensures they gain the skills, confidence, and judgment needed to handle real-world driving situations. With more time behind the wheel, under guidance, teens are far less likely to make reckless mistakes once they drive independently, which means fewer accidents and safer roads overall. You can tag my second advantage as more time to emotionally mature. From Lynn Benton Community College, commuter by Eagle Hunt, Abby Sutton, Rylan Bickley, and Clayton Lynch on May 7, 2024. Quote, distracted driving is a major issue that all age groups face. However, teens are especially substantial to this type of behavior due to their emotional maturity and lack of experience on the road. Distracting includes texting, smoking weed, and goofing off with friends while driving. It's not uncommon now to see young people scrolling TikTok while driving. End quote. Not only are teens getting easily distracted, but by their age, most should know that being on their phone and doing one little thing could cause something fatal to happen. In conclusion, ultimately, allowing teens to drive before they are fully prepared puts everyone on the road at risk. The harms, lack of experience, and emotional maturity make it far too easy for mistakes to turn deadly. By establishing a uniform driving age of 18, the federal government can ensure that drivers are better prepared, more responsible, and capable of handling serious responsibilities of being behind the wheel. All of these harms affect our teens, but most importantly, they affect the many parents of America, because no one wants to receive a call that their child has passed. This policy saves lives, reduces accidents, and creates safer roads for all Americans. Therefore, judges, my partner and I urge you to vote for the resolution that the United States federal government should establish a uniform legal driving age of 18. A vote for affirmative is a vote for safer roads, responsible young drivers, and fewer accidents. Thank you, and I'm now ready for cross-examination.
May I have a copy of your 1AC? Can you please repeat your first harm?
Emotional maturity.
And the quote?
Hold on. You want me to read it? Always lack of experience. My harm is actually lack of experience. Quote, at 16, many teens simply don't have the experience they need to drive safely. Essential motor skills and judgment are still developing, and driving is often the first activity that demands coordinated use of their hands, eyes, and feet at the same time. They have to process visual cues quickly, making split-second decisions, and react physically, all of which take time and practice to master.
Would you agree that 18-year-olds also need time and practice to master driving?
Yes, but my plan is saying that they have at least 3 years to learn all of this experience.
Can you repeat your second harm?
My second harm is emotional maturity. You want me to read the quote?
Yes.
Quote, emotional maturity increases as we age, and it is thought that 18-year-olds are more likely to make smart decisions without giving into peer pressure than 16-year-olds. The ability to resist distractions, especially device-related ones, could be stronger in older teens, reducing behavior like texting or scrolling while driving.
Thank you. No further questions.
Are the judges ready? Okay. Are the judges ready? Okay. Affirmative team? Okay. 8 minutes. No two roads are the same, and neither are the people who drive. The affirmative's plan assumes every 16-year-old in America is identical, every road equally dangerous, and every state equally capable of compliance, but life doesn't work that way. The negative believes safety and responsibility comes from education, enforcement, and empowerment, not a blanket federal mandate. It is for this reason my partner, Edric Cross, and I, Romeo Gautale, stands against the resolution that the U.S. federal government should establish a uniform legal driving age of 18 years old. My partner and I are happy to accept the definitions the affirmative team has given. My opponent argues that teenagers have lack of experience of teen driving. However, our stance is, quote, driver's education programs are designed to teach teens drivers the rules of the road and to help them can acquire the necessary driving skills to prepare for and pass the road driving test and ultimately obtain a driver's license. End quote. Source, NHTSA.gov. Our reasoning is based on impact. Teen teens are fully capable of becoming experienced enough to make responsible decisions while on the road. my uh, for- my opponent argues that teenagers are emotional immature. Quote, a simple age doesn't determine maturity. End quote. Source, the FAMUnonline.com. By our stances impact, just because you are 16 years old doesn't always mean you are too immature to drive safely on the road. Many adults are less mature than teenagers. the The affirmative team plan will fail. We argue for maintaining the status quo. The affirmative team proposes to raise the age to 18, add extra time to driving. This won't work because teens. Sorry, I didn't write anything for it. I didn't write anything for the why it won't work, but it won't work. Sorry. This won't work because they will have little time to practice driving. Sorry. This won't work. Why the to raise the driving age to 18 won't work because it's too old for them. It's better to start learning young than to start when you're old. my sorry. My opponent argues more experience to help. Sorry. According to my sorry. My opponent argues that teens will have more experience, but, quote, automakers and software developers offer technologies that are specifically designed for teen drivers. Source, IIHS.org. However, our stance is impact. Driving technologies helps teens to gain the experience needed to drive safely. Thank you. My partner and I strongly encourage the judges to oppose the resolutions that the U.S. The U.S. federal government should not establish a uniform legal driving age to 18 years old. Thank you. I'm prepared for cross-examine now. Stopping clock at 2 minutes 30.
What age do you believe a person has enough experience and maturity to drive safely on the public road?
At 16 years old.
Okay, so don't you agree that driving requires complex decision-making skills that improve with age and experience?
Can you repeat that, please?
Don't you agree that driving requires complex decision-making skills that improve with age and experience?
Yes, I do agree.
So if driving skills and decision-making improves with age and experience, won't waiting until 18 give drivers more time to mature before operating a vehicle on public roads?
Sorry, can you repeat that again?
So if driving skills and decision making improve with age and experience? Wouldn't waiting until 18 give drivers more time to mature before operating a vehicle on public road?
Well, it's good that it's better to start early to drive than to start late because because when you're old, it will be hard to learn. Um, it will be hard to learn how to drive when you're old than when while it's easier to drive when you're 16 years old. To learn how to drive when you're younger.
Okay, so wouldn't you agree that younger drivers generally have less experience making quick and safe decisions on the road?
Yes.
Okay, so are you worried that the statistics, oh my gosh, I can't say that, statistics show drivers under 18 are more likely to be involved in fatal car crashes than drivers 18 and older?
That is why we have technologies like to help out and programs to help out young teens so the crash rates could downgrade.
Okay, so how do you justify letting 16-year-olds drive when crash data shows their inexperience puts others at risk?
Um, by just practice when you're early. Like, can you repeat that, please? Sorry.
I'm asking if, how do you justify if 16-year-olds drive when crash data shows their inexperience puts others at risk?
Sorry. Can you repeat that again, please?
I'm asking why, like, how do you explain and justify that you're letting 16-year-olds drive when data shows that their inexperience puts others at risk?
Well, we just we have parental supervision, and that we will have programs to help them when they're younger.
Are the judges ready? Is the negative ready? Okay. My timer is set at 8 minutes. Good morning, judges. The affirmative stands firmly in favor of raising the legal driving age to 18. We believe that this change is both responsible and necessary, given the significant safety development and societal concerns at stake. Let us begin by affirming the context. Under current practices, many 16-year-olds are granted unsupervised driving privileges, despite evidence showing that drivers in the 16 through 17 age group have disproportionately higher crash and fatality rates. Moreover, neuroscience and adolescent development research show that key areas of the brain related to decision-making and impulse control are not yet fully matured in mid-teens. Teen drivers, especially those just licensed at 16 or 17, face far higher risk of collision, injury, and fatality. By delaying licensure until 18, we allow young people more time to mature, lean under supervision, and build driving experience before facing the full responsibility of independent driving. Before I begin, my opponent stated that driving when you're younger is better, but that is our plan. We will give the teens 3 years from 15 all the way to 18 of experience before ever receiving their license. Now, continuing to my facts, my fact 1. Without experience, there's consequences. Without experience, there's consequences, by IIHS HLDI on July 2025. Quote, in 2023, 59% of the deaths of teenage passengers in passenger vehicles occurred in vehicles driven by another teenager. Among deaths of passengers of all ages, 15% occurred when a teenager was driving. End quote. The limited experience of young drivers leads to significantly greater harm for both themselves and their passengers. Inexperienced drivers are more likely to misjudge road conditions, react poorly in emergencies, and become easily distracted, resulting in higher crash rates. These crashes often have devastating consequences, not just for the young driver, but for passengers, pedestrians, and other motorists. Every year, thousands of preventable injuries and fatalities occur because teenagers simply lack this time behind the wheel to develop mature driving judgment. By allowing inexperienced drivers on the road too soon, we put lives at risk and increase emotional and financial burdens on the families and communities. My fact 2 is emotional maturity will affect the driving. Emotional maturity will affect the driving by Melillo and Grossman at Attorney at Law. Quote, emotional maturity is probably the most crucial factor that can justify the increase of driving age to 18. Driving is not only about driving a car, but also about dealing with stress, being calm, and making a smart decision under unplanned circumstances. The human brain is still immature, particularly in the prefrontal cortex, which is the part that deals with decision-making and impulse control at 16 or 17. This implies that teenagers tend to do things in accordance with emotions instead of being logical. They tend to make risky choices when angry or excited, to speed up or violate traffic laws. Studies conducted by the National Institute of Mental Health indicate that brain development persists until the mid-20s. A teenager who's 16 years may have the theoretical knowledge of the traffic rules, but he or she may not be mature enough to adhere to them all the time. Teen brains, especially the part behind the forehead, the prefrontal cortex, responsible for planning, impulse control, and risk judgment, are not yet fully mature at ages 16 through 17. Because safe driving requires calm decision-making, managing stress, and avoiding risky impulses, these brain maturation issues help explain why younger teens are at much higher crash risk. Therefore, raising the minimum driving age to 18 is supported by this neuroscience. Older teens are more likely to have better maturity, impulse control, and judgment behind the wheel. Which now leads me to my advantage. More mature decision-making. More mature decision-making. At 18, these young adults are often considered more mentally and emotionally developed than 17-year-olds and younger, which can translate to better judgment and less susceptibility to peer pressure from their passengers. 18-year-olds are in a stage in their life when they need to make mature decisions. They are more grown up than 16-year-olds and have actual responsibilities. They are closer to being fully matured, and as young adults are not as foolish and impulsive as young teens. They are at a time where their life is changing and they are leaving the childhood and teen years away and becoming adults. Judges, the facts are clear. Younger drivers lack the experience and maturity needed to drive safely. By raising the uniform driving age to 18, we save lives, reduce accidents, and create safer roads for everyone. Safety is not optional, it's necessary. For safer roads, for responsible drivers, for the future of our communities. Therefore, my partner and I strongly encourage the judges to vote in favor of the resolution. Thank you. I am now ready for cross-examination.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Are the judges ready? Okay. I have 3 minutes on the timer. Let's begin. So, for your first fact, what was the source?
By Melillo and Grossman at Attorney at Law.
Okay. For your advantage 1, when you said more maturity decision making, what is the difference if one day I'm 18, one day I'm 17, then the next day I'm 18? Does that change does that change my maturity?
Well, not exactly, because you just turned 18, so you're not fully 18, you're just experiencing 18. You're not handling the full responsibilities of an 18-year-old because you're practically still 17. You haven't really, done what 18-year-olds would have done.
Okay. Well, you said at 18 I get my driver's license. What if I'm inexperienced at 17 and then I turn 18? Should I still get my driver's license?
No.
Okay. Sorry. What were your what was your second advantage?
I do not have a second advantage.
Okay. Okay. Well, what was it? Okay. Could you sorry. That will be it. Thank you.
Are the judges ready? Is the negative team ready? 8 minutes on the clock. It is better to start while learning at a younger age. My bad. The negative supports the status quo because it allows states the flexibility to promote safety and responsibility. Sorry, the timer. Okay, it is continue. To promote safety and responsibility. I'll extend our key points by sharing that the current system has already balances safety with opportunity. My partner and I remain opposed to the resolution that the U.S. federal government should establish a uniform legal driving age of 18 years old. My opponent says that teens lack the experience needed to drive at a younger age. However, they need time to learn, so it's better to start at a younger age to get more experience before you're older. My opponent also says that teens are too emotionally immature to drive. However, there's technology nowadays that assists teens in making safer driving decisions while on the road. It is better to start learning while at a younger age, and there's already programs that help teens gain experience while limiting their full abilities until fully capable of driving. My opponent says that teens will have more experience once they are 18. However, 18-year-olds are in a different stage of life where they're more busy and focused on other things. So it is better to learn at a younger age because they have less things to focus on in life and they can focus more on learning to drive well. My opponent also says that teens are more mature at 18 years old. But the opponents admitted in the cross-examination that there is no maturity difference between 17 and 18 years old. Thank you. I'm now ready for cross-examination.
If a 16-year-old causes a car accident due to inexperience, who bears the responsibility?
The parents, I believe.
If research shows that older teens are safer drivers, wouldn't it make sense for the federal government to set a consistent national standard?
Yes, but that's depending on whether the research actually comes to that conclusion.
Wouldn't waiting until 18 allow teens more time to gain experience through supervised driving?
Not if they weren't driving prior to being 18 years old.
But if a teen waits until 18 to drive, wouldn't they have a higher success rate in passing licensing tests and avoiding accidents?
Depends on whether they're experienced enough.
So how would you prevent accidents caused by inexperience if the age remains 16?
I would probably find them a good program they can use to achieve their permit and license.
If the brain region responsible for judgment, impulse control, and risk assessment continues developing into the mid-20s, how can you justify granting full driving privileges at 16?
Can you repeat the question?
If the brain region is responsible for judgment, impulse control, and risk assessment, continuing developing into the mid-20s, how can you justify granting full driving privileges at 16?
That is only if that is true. Studies have not been fully confirmed that 25 is when you actually are developed enough to, like, when you actually are fully developed in your brain.
If we keep the age at 16 or 17, how would you propose to address the disproportionate accident risk associated with younger drivers?
Can you repeat the question?
If we keep the age at 16 or 17, how would you propose to address the disproportionate accident risk associated with younger drivers?
I feel like our current situation already handles that.
Okay, no more questions.